y'all, I'm Tamara and welcome to my channel. I am so excited because today we're going to talk about what's new in books. I am pretty far behind. I've actually taken a pretty lengthy social media break, which I will tell y'all about in just a minute. But if you're new to my channel, I do hope you'll enjoy this video. If you do, then please go ahead and hit that subscribe button because I'd love to have you back as part of my community. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Your support really means the world to me. So you may have noticed I took a bit of an extended social media break. I wanted to spend as much time as possible with my daughter before she moved away for college, and it's been rough. I'm not gonna lie, I really miss her. I've seen her pretty much every weekend since she moved, but it's not the same. It has definitely been an adjustment. The only silver lining to her moving out is that I got to move my books into her old bedroom because she pretty much moved everything to her new apartment. So that's the only thing that's been good. And so it's kind of like my consolation prize. When my son grew up and moved away, I got my beauty room. When my daughter grew up and moved away, I got my guest room / library that I've always wanted. I definitely hope to fill the rest of the room up with books eventually. This is my TBR. And if you're not familiar with the TBR, that means my to be read. So I've got these shelves and then I have a smaller shelf off to the side. I'll probably do a TBR tour on TikTok one of these days. But anyway, to give you a little bit of my background with reading, I was an avid reader my entire life until about 10 to 12 years ago when for some reason I decided to go to grad school. So I was working full time. I had my kids and my husband at home and I decided to go back to school. And I'm glad I did because my MBA has definitely been a benefit to me, but I had zero time. When I went back to school, I was going to school on the weekends so that I had a little bit of time with my kids during the evenings and I could do the sports and school pickup and everything else. But I had no time to read. If I was reading, it was for my classes and I was spending a lot of time writing papers and doing a lot of group work for school. And so reading for fun took a back burner and it just never came back because after I graduated, I started to get into social media and then eventually I started getting into YouTube and everything else. And y'all know that is a huge time suck as well. So I didn't really start getting back into reading until the pandemic. So a friend of mine had asked if we could do a buddy read together. And so we decided to read The Hate U Give. I loved that book so much and it just helped me rediscover my love of reading. So we went from that one to reading The Henna Artist, which was also absolutely amazing. And I was hooked again. And so the reason I have so many books in my TBR is because when I went back to school a little over a decade ago, I already had a stack of TBR books. So I had books that I had wanted to read, just didn't get around to. And then, 10 years passed without reading them. So they're still in my stack. I still want to read them. And then I also have a lot of new releases. I don't know, it just feels like there's been like this renaissance in reading with book talk and booktube and social media. And so I see all of these books everywhere and I want to read them. And so even though I already had a stack to get through, I just kept buying more. And the other thing that happened is that I started to receive some amazing advanced readers copies and review copies of books from publishers, which I am forever grateful for. So I'm definitely going to make an effort to stop buying as many books, but y'all know when those new releases come out that you've been waiting for, you just sometimes can't help it. In the meantime, I'm really enjoying seeing all of my rainbow of books every time I come into this room, and I will definitely get through them eventually. Let's go ahead and dive into some newer release books that were gifted to me by publishers over the last couple of months. I also have my July book of the month, which I don't think I ever shared with y'all. I might have put it on an Instagram story, but I know I didn't show it here. So we'll start there and then we'll talk about the new books. So this is my July book of the month. I have the link down in my description box below if you are interested in subscribing. Again, I probably don't need to subscribe because I have more than enough books to read, but it's just a really great affordable, and easy way to keep up with the newest releases. So if you do plan to subscribe, check out my link below and I'll see if I can find you any discount codes and drop those down there as well. So the book that I chose for July is You're Invited by Amanda Jayatissa, and I am so excited to read this. Here's what it says inside. When Amaya is invited to Kavi's over-the-top wedding in Sri Lanka, she's surprised and a little hurt to hear from her former best friend after years of radio silence. But when Amaya learns that the groom is her very own ex-boyfriend, she's consumed by a single thought. She must stop the wedding from happening, no matter what the cost. But as the week of wedding celebrations begins and rumors about Amaya's past begin to swirl, she can't help but feel like she also has a target on her back. When Kavi goes missing and is presumed dead, all evidence points to Amaya. However, nothing is as it seems, as Jayatissa expertly unravels that each wedding guest has their own dark and secret agenda, and Amaya may not be the only one with a plan to keep the bride from getting her happily ever after. So reading the synopsis, it actually sounds a lot like The Guest List by Lucy Foley, and I love that book, so I cannot wait to dig in. And then I also got 2 add-ons with my July book of the month. You can add on up to 2 books per month, and I think the price is $14.99, but after you've subscribed for a few different months, they drop it down to $10.99. And they're really great hardcover books, so it's definitely worth it. So the first add-on that I got for July is Black Cake by Charmaine Wilkerson. This one had been on my list for a while, and I was really excited to get it as an add-on. So here's what it says inside. In present-day California, Eleanor Bennett's death leaves behind a puzzling inheritance for her 2 children, Byron and Benny, a traditional Caribbean black cake made from a family recipe with a long history and a voice recording. In her message, Eleanor shares a tumultuous story about a headstrong young swimmer who escapes her island home under suspicion of murder. The heartbreaking tale Eleanor unfolds, the secret she still holds back, and the mystery of a long-lost child challenge everything the siblings thought they knew about their lineage and themselves. Can Byron and Benny reclaim their once close relationship, piece together Eleanor's true history, and fulfill her final request to share the black cake when the time is right? Will their mother's revelations bring them back together or leave them feeling more lost than ever? Charmaine Wilkerson's debut novel is a story of how the inheritance of betrayals, secrets, memories, and even names can shape relationships and history. Deeply evocative and beautifully written, Black Cake is an extraordinary journey through the life of a family changed forever by the choices of its matriarch. This sounds amazing. I cannot wait to read it. I've heard so many good things. And then my second add-on for July is One Italian Summer by Rebecca Serle. Isn't that a gorgeous cover? Oh my goodness. And here's what it says inside. When Katie's mother dies, she's left reeling. Carol wasn't just Katie's mom, but her best friend and first phone call. Even Katie's husband can't seem to get through to her. She's lost without her anchor. Her mother was her true north. To make matters worse, the mother-daughter trip of a lifetime looms, going to Positano following the very same route Carol did as a young woman. Katie has been waiting for years for Carol to take her, and now suddenly she's faced with embarking on the adventure alone. But as soon as she steps foot on the beautiful Amalfi Coast, buoyed by the stunning cliffsides, delectable food, and charming hotel staff, Katie begins to feel her mother's spirit. And then Carol appears for real, in the flesh, healthy and suntanned, and 30 years old. Katie doesn't understand what's happening or how, but over the course of her time in Italy, Katie gets to know Carol in this new form, and soon she must reconcile the mother who knew everything with a young woman who does not yet have a clue. One Italian Summer is Rebecca Serle's next great love story, a transcendent novel about how we move on after loss and how the people we love never truly leave us. These two books seem to have a common thread of loss and the relationship between a mother and child and family overall. I think these both sound absolutely amazing, and I'm so glad I added them on. So that was my July book of the month. I haven't read any of the books yet. As you can see, I do have a pretty big stack to work through, but I definitely want to read all of these soon because they sound amazing. Moving on to the books that were so graciously gifted to me by the publishers. I'm so excited to show these to y'all. So the first book is from Forever, and this is actually the first book I've read from the publisher, and I'm so excited to check it out. This is called Summer on Blackberry B, and I know summer is already almost over because I am a bit behind in talking to y'all about these books, but that's the beauty of reading, is that you can transport yourself to any season, any country, any time. So I'm definitely still going to enjoy this one. Here's what it says on the back. Teacher Stella Marshall's summer break has just begun, but the gossip is already sizzling. Luke Keegan's back in town. Stella's high school crush is all grown up and smolderingly sexy. She might even consider a fling with the former Navy SEAL, if she hadn't already sworn off all romantic entanglements. But there isn't a single thing she can do to stop the rumor mill whispering about her and Luke being together, unless a showmance. Oh my God, y'all. I love fake romances. This is going to be so good. Okay, let's keep going. Luke never thought he'd propose a fake relationship, but it's the only way to stop the runaway speculation about their love lives. Pretending to date a woman as stunning as Stella is easy. Not actually falling for her is the hard part. Luke isn't sure that he deserves a happy hometown ending when members of his SEAL team never made it back at all. But there's a real attraction buzzing between him and Stella, and he knows that she feels it too. Could their faux summer romance lead to true love? I don't know about you, but I definitely want to find out. So this one will definitely be read very soon. Thank you so much to Forever. The next book is also from Forever. Y'all, how cute is that cover with that little dog? This is Something Blue by Heather McGovern, and it looks like another summer read, but again, that's okay. We can read summer books all year round. Here's what it says. Wedding planner Beth Shipley has seen it all. Bridezillas, monster-in-laws, and last-minute jitters at the altar. But this wedding is different, and the stakes are much, much higher. Not only is her best friend the bride, but bookings at her family's inn have been in free fall ever since an unfortunate food poisoning incident. Beth's got one chance to save her family's business, and she knows she can do it. As long as she doesn't let Sawyer Silva's good looks and overprotective, overbearing older brother act distract her. Sawyer learned firsthand that forever doesn't last, so when his brother decides to race down the aisle with a woman he barely knows, Sawyer is determined to keep him from making the biggest mistake of his life. Yet the more time Sawyer spends around the passionate and hardworking Beth, the more trouble he has disentangling his feelings about the wedding and the wedding planner. When Beth discovers Sawyer's plans, can he convince her that his only real objection is to a future that doesn't include her? This sounds really cute. Thank you again to Forever. The next book is also from Forever. This is called Maggie Moves On by Lucy Score. It is another super cute cover here with a little dog. If I were judging a book by the cover, I can tell you already that I will love this one, but let me go ahead and read you what it says on the back. Can these opposites turn up the heat without burning down the house? House flipping sensation and YouTube star Maggie Nichols can't wait to dig into her next challenge. Arriving in tiny Kinship, Idaho with only a cot and a coffee maker, Maggie's prepared to restore a crumbling Victorian mansion in 4 months or less. She has her to-do lists, her blueprints, and her team. What she doesn't have is time for sexy, laid-back landscaper Silas Wright. The man takes flirtation to a whole new level, and he does it shirtless and sometimes pantless. He and his service school dropout dog are impressively persistent. But she's not interested in putting down roots, not when fans tune in to watch her travel the country, turning dilapidated houses into dream homes. A short-term fling, on the other hand, could fit nicely into her calendar. After all, Maggie remembers what fun is like, vaguely. As their summer gets downright steamy, Silas manages to demolish the emotional walls she spent years building, sending Maggie into a panic. He's the wrench in her carefully constructed plans. With the end of the project looming, she has a decision to make. But how can she stay when her entire career is built on moving on? I'm definitely interested in finding out more. Y'all, I don't even know which of these books I want to read first because they all sound so good. Next, we have one last book from Forever. Thank you again for these lovely books. I'm so excited to read them. This one's called The Godparent Trap by Rachel Van Dyken. Here's what it says on the back. Can a free-spirited world traveler and a type A control freak call a truce long enough to make this family whole again? Colby's living her best life. As a popular food blogger, she gets to fulfill her dreams of exploring the globe. But her world comes crashing down when a tragic accident leaves her the co-guardian of her best friend's 2 adorable children. Not only does she need to put down roots fast, but she'll also be sharing custody with the one man she can't stand sharing a continent with, let alone a house. Accountant extraordinaire Rip values rules and plans, but when he loses his sister and his best friend and becomes insta-guardian all in one night, Rip sees his organized life imploding. What he really doesn't need is his sister's irresponsible, flighty, albeit kind and gorgeous best friend making it all worse. Rip doesn't trust Colby to take their new responsibilities seriously, while Colby can't believe Rip thinks children will thrive under his rigid control. Yet soon, Rip and Colby discover they need each other more than they hate each other. Could it be possible that following their hearts is just what their new little family needs? So this book sounds really sweet, definitely sounds kind of sad, but also very heartwarming. So I'm definitely looking forward to reading this. Thank you again to Forever. So the next book is from Harper. It is called The Stranger in the Mirror by Liv Constantine. That looks really good. Here's what it says. Just outside Philadelphia, Addison is preparing to get married, but she's not looking forward to the big day. Her fiance is a wonderful man, but Addison doesn't know who she really is. A few years ago, a kind driver rescued her, bleeding, from the side of the highway. Though her physical wounds healed, Addison's memory never returned. She doesn't know her real name or why she can't shake the notion that she may have done something very, very bad. In a posh home in the Boston suburbs, Julian tries to figure out what happened to his sweet, caring wife, Cassandra, who disappeared without a trace 2 years before. She would never have left him and their beloved young daughter of her own free will. Or would she? As these two lives intersect, The Stranger in the Mirror hooks readers with exceptionally twisty drama. That's my kind of drama. Told with Liv Constantine's hallmark blend of glamour, tense psychological thrills, and astonishing twists. This sounds so good. So in case you couldn't tell, based on just these books that I chose in my book of the month and also the books that were sent to me by the publishers, my favorite genres are romance, contemporary fiction, and thrillers. I love thrillers, so this one looks so good. And finally, one last book is also from Harper. This one is The Second Husband by Kate White. It is also a thriller. And they also sent me the cutest sunglasses promoting this book. These remind me of Taylor Swift, so y'all know I'm going to be wearing them. And here's what the book's about. After losing her husband Derek in what appears to have been a random street crime, 30-something Emma has built a new life with widower Tom, who is kind, handsome, driven, and successful. Emma's finally able to feel safe again, both in her relationship with Tom and in the home they've made together on the Connecticut shore. Then one day, a homicide detective shows up at Emma and Tom's door asking questions. Though Emma had been cleared of her husband's murder, it appears that law enforcement is taking another look at her and the case. What exactly have they found, and will the renewed investigation ruin Emma's chances for a happy life? A gripping, unpredictable psychological thriller that asks how well we really know the ones we love. The second husband is Kate White at her finest. So y'all, I am going to be really busy reading these books. I am so excited to dig into all of them. Thank you again to Forever and to Harper. I will have all of the books linked down below in the description. If I have inspired you to read any of these books, then please consider using my links to purchase them. It definitely supports my channel and it means the world to me. Plus, it makes it easier for you to find the books. And again, if you're new to my channel, I hope you enjoyed the video and that you will hit that subscribe button. Thank you all so very much for watching and have a great week.